Have you ever wondered about the minds behind some of the world's most notorious serial killers? This question haunts the curious and the brave, drawing us into the dark labyrinth of human nature. We're about to embark on a chilling journey, one that takes us into the hearts of darkness, where the most terrifying monsters reside. These are not creatures of myth or legend, but men and women who lived among us, their terrifying deeds etching their names into the annals of crime. From the infamous Atlanta child murders to the gruesome deeds of the monster of the Andes, we'll delve into the life and crimes of 10 serial killers who have shocked the world with their heinous acts. We'll unravel their stories, their motives, and the chilling legacy they left behind. This is not a journey for the faint-hearted, but for those with a fascination for the darker side of humanity. Prepare for a chilling journey through the annals of crime. We start our unnerving journey with Wayne Williams, the man behind the Atlanta child murders. From 1979 to 1981, the city of Atlanta was gripped with fear as children and young adults began to disappear only to be found murdered. The count rose to a staggering 31 victims, all linked to one man, Wayne Williams. Williams became a person of interest when he was detained after police heard a splash near a crime scene. The evidence against him started to pile up. Suspicious polygraph results and fibers found at his home that matched those on the victims. The net tightened, and Williams was arrested. He was convicted for 2 of the murders, although many believe he was responsible for many more. Despite his conviction, Williams maintains his innocence to this day. The chilling tale of Wayne Williams leaves us with unanswered questions and a grim reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the hearts of men. Next on our list is Dean Corll, a man known as the Candyman. His moniker derived from the family candy business he managed, but beneath the sweet exterior lay a monster responsible for the Houston mass murders that spanned from 1970 to 1973. Corll, along with his accomplices Elmer Wayne Henley and David Brooks, lured young boys with the promise of a party or a ride. The unsuspecting victims were then tortured, killed, and buried in various locations. The gruesome tally of victims reached a harrowing total of 27. This reign of horror, however, came to an abrupt end in 1973. On a fateful night, Henley, one of Corll's accomplices, turned the tables on the Candyman. In a shocking twist of fate, Henley shot and killed Corll, ultimately leading to the unraveling of their horrific crimes. Corll's reign of terror ended abruptly when his own accomplice turned against him. Our next killer is John Wayne Gacy, a man who hid behind a clown's mask. A chilling figure in American crime history, Gacy was responsible for the deaths of 33 young men and boys between 1967 and 1978. Known as the Killer Clown, Gacy had a sinister double life. In his community, he was a respected businessman, a jovial party entertainer who performed as Pogo or Patches the Clown at local events. But behind closed doors, his suburban home was a house of horrors. His victims were lured, killed, and then either buried in the crawl space beneath his house, or dumped in a nearby river. When the scale of his atrocities came to light, the nation was shocked. In 1980, Gacy was convicted and sentenced to death. After 14 years on death row, Gacy was executed in 1994, but the memory of his crimes lingers on, a haunting reminder of the monster behind the clown's mask. We now turn to Gary Ridgway, the infamous Green River Killer. Operating predominantly in the 1980s, Ridgway's chilling reign saw a confirmed 49 victims, though he himself admitted to as many as 90. His victims were often young, vulnerable women, many of whom were sex workers or runaways. This selection of victims, tragically, meant that many cases went unnoticed or unreported, allowing Ridgway's horrifying spree to continue unchecked. His signature disposal tactic, which earned him his moniker, was dumping the bodies of his victims in the Green River. This, combined with the overlooked victims, delayed his capture significantly. It was not until 2 decades later, in 2001, that he was finally brought to justice. The crucial evidence, which had been overlooked in the 1980s, finally pointed to Ridgway as the perpetrator. Ridgway is currently serving life in prison, a grim reminder of his heinous acts. Now let's delve into a rapid-fire round covering 5 more notorious killers. First up is Moses Sithole, the South African serial killer and rapist, infamous for the ABC murders in 1995. Sithole's reign of terror led to 40 confirmed rapes and approximately 38 murders. He disturbingly claimed that his mistreatment in an orphanage influenced his heinous actions. Next, we have Gerald Stano, an American killer active from the late 1960s to the early 70s. Stano was captured in 1980, following an attack on Donna Marie Hensley. He confessed to killing 6 women, and was sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms. His life ended in 1998, not by age or ailment, but by execution. Moving on to Andrei Chikatilo, known as the Butcher of Rostov. This Soviet serial murderer was active from 1978 to 1990. His body count, a staggering 53. Chikatilo was convicted for 52 murders in 1992 and executed 2 years later. Then there's Bruno Ludka, a serial killer active during World War II. Ludka's killing spree spanned from 1928 to 1944, amassing a body count of 85. He was diagnosed as clinically insane, subjected to medical tests, and subsequently executed in 1944. Finally, we come to Henry Lee Lucas. Lucas confessed to a mind-boggling 213 murders, but later claimed he was merely testing the police. He was captured in 1983, initially sentenced to death, but his sentence was reduced to life in prison in 1998. Lucas met his end in prison in 2001. Each of these killers left a trail of devastation, their names forever etched in criminal history. Finally, we come to Pedro Alonso Lopez, known as the Monster of the Andes. Born in Colombia, Lopez's reign of terror spanned 3 countries in South America: Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. His victims, tragically, were often young girls from impoverished backgrounds, their ages ranging from 8 to 12. Lopez's crimes were as stealthy as they were gruesome. He would lure his victims with trinkets or money, only to lead them to secluded areas where he would assault and strangle them. His method was chillingly systematic, his actions remorseless. Incredibly, it was a flood in the late 1970s that led to his capture. The deluge unearthed the bodies of 4 girls in Ambato, Ecuador, leading to a frantic manhunt. Lopez was apprehended when he attempted to abduct yet another victim, a vendor's daughter. Under interrogation, he confessed to the murders of an unfathomable number, possibly as many as 350 victims. Despite the staggering number of his victims, Lopez was only convicted for 110 murders due to Ecuador's legal maximum sentence. He received 16 years in prison, the maximum penalty in Ecuador at the time. However, in a controversial twist, Lopez was released in 1998, reportedly for good behavior. His release sparked outrage and fear, particularly as he was deported to Colombia, where he faced charges for a further 20 murders. Yet, in a shocking turn of events, Lopez disappeared from a psychiatric hospital in Bogotá, his whereabouts unknown to this day. His disappearance has led to speculation and fear, with some suspecting he may have returned to his murderous ways. Lopez's story is a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity. The Monster of the Andes remains one of the most prolific and elusive serial killers in history, his crimes a harrowing testament to the dark side of humanity. And so, Lopez's whereabouts remain unknown, making him one of the most elusive serial killers in history. The stories of these killers are chilling reminders of the darkness that can lurk within the human mind. From Wayne Williams' Atlanta child murders to Pedro Alonso Lopez's terrifying spree across Peru, these accounts serve as stark reminders of the depths of human depravity. These criminals, who have committed unthinkable atrocities, are part of our shared history, a history that we must confront and understand in order to prevent such horrors from recurring. The importance of studying these crimes lies not in the morbid fascination they often elicit, but in the lessons they offer. They show us the necessity of vigilance, of empathy, and of justice. It is through understanding the darkest aspects of our world that we can strive to create a safer, more compassionate society. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of crime, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Stay safe and keep exploring the dark corners of history with us.